Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Talking Grit is brought to you by the Monroe County Reporters, Monroe's top news source for police, fire, and community events.
Depot Street, truck boy at
Follow them on Facebook, and for $2.99 a month, you can become a subscriber and get the news you crave even faster.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Talking Grit. I'm Jason Harwood, and with me, as usual, is Jacob Litton. Today, we're talking extensions. We're going to talk about the three players that signed extensions with Lions this offseason: Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. and Penei Sewell. Jacob and I haven't had a chance to talk with you, the listeners, about these contracts, so we're excited to get going. Today, I think we're going to start out with Jared Goff. Jacob, what'd you think about that contract?
We talked about that kind of briefly before, what dollar amount, where I would be comfortable with for Goff. I was hoping closer to 50 on an average, between 45 and 50. That's just not the way these things usually work. Usually the next man up gets the highest contract. And in this case, he's really not, in terms of value, number one overall. I mean, Burrow's got the higher average salary. You've got a couple quarterbacks on the list that actually have a, total value higher than his right now. When you hear $53 million a year, you're like, man, I'm not sure if he's worth that much. But, with the way that he played last year and the confidence that Brad Holmes has in him, I'm on board with it now. How did you feel about it, though?
Yeah, I think same thing. I was like anything north of 50, and I'm not going to say skeptical, but I don't know what, honestly, I really don't know what the word is, but I was going to be a little bit worried. The first year, obviously he struggled here, but I don't think that was necessarily all his fault. The bare bones receiver room, running back that's constantly hurt. They were, struggling at skill positions at all level. Defense wasn't very good, so they're playing from behind. That's not necessarily Jared Goff's strong suit there. That first year, throw it out the window. But, since they started winning, Jared Goff's been everything I want in a quarterback. He's a great leader. He's humble when he needs to be. He's animated when he needs to be. I think that he doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low. I think that that's perfect for that position. $53 million when you look at it. I think when you look at the average salary, it's number two, but there's so many different ways to look at contracts. I don't think it's truly $53 million just based on, where his cap hits lie, because they can restructure that however they want. The signing bonus, it is what it is. He's got plenty guaranteed money, but also he's 29. His game is not predicated on the run. He's not going to see a sharp decline anywhere. It's not like he's just gunning deep balls and then you're going to have a Drew Brees situation at some point where he just can't do that anymore. With everything he's got and everything that we got locked down, I'm happy with it. I don't think we're going to see a large fall off with Jared Goff. Where are you at with that?
In the last two seasons, he's finished top three in most of the statistics for yards, touchdowns, the important ones that you're looking at for quarterbacks. So if you're finishing top three, you're going to be getting paid top three. That's what's resulted in the contract that he's played up to at this point. I think he's also had the benefit of the expectations were not very high for him. He had the chip on his shoulder. He had to play up to that level. And now with this contract and with the way the season went last year, now he has to maintain that level. And if possible, even put it up even higher than he did before. And that's going to be hard to live up to. Like you mentioned, the team around him and everything, definitely it's a possibility. He's got one of the best offensive lines in football. He's got some weapons to throw to. And you're right, he doesn't make very many risks as a quarterback. He's not chucking it deep 10 times a game. He's playing it safe. He's playing with the scheme. He's got the right offensive coordinator, the right coaches around him. Right now, I'm on board with the contract. I think it looks good, especially with quarterbacks. Hindsight's everything. You fast forward towards the end of the contract, and if he's hovering around 15th or 20th in yards, and, we're on the fringe of the playoffs or missing the playoffs, then, of course it's going to go back to this contract and look like this is the problem. But as of right now, at this point in time, I think it's good, and I'm on board with it.
I've heard many arguments different ways. Jared Goff needs a perfect team around him for him to succeed, and I don't necessarily buy that. I mean, any quarterback's going to be better with people around him. Outside of your Patrick Mahomes, even Joe Burrow's got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. He had a pretty strong team, but you know what? He kept getting injured because he didn't have the offensive line. So Jared Goff definitely has the offensive line. He's going to be solid there. The offensive coordinator's back at least for this year. So I'm pretty happy with all that. I'm happy overall with the contract. It could change on a dime for sure. But I also don't think Jared Goff's been playing out of his mind the last year and a half where it's like above his ceiling. Even if he comes back and he has the same ceiling, I mean, he's, like you said, he's been top 3, top 5 in a lot of categories that we judge a lot of quarterbacks on. It's not Jared Goff's fault that Brad Holmes is very good at drafting and maintaining talent on the team and elevating talent. I think it's going to end up working in Lions' favor for getting this contract done now. Because, you know, you're going to have some guys resign here in a little bit. And if we'd have because the one option for Goff would have been let him play out his contract. They don't come with the deal, then they franchise him. Then you got him for at least 2 years at that point. Maybe not the best way to motivate your player by not, you know, re-signing him.
Giving him the Kirk Cousins treatment.
Yeah, exactly. In a video game, that works well because, you know, you don't have to worry about the real person. But
can you play video games with your arthritis problems?
Oh, no, it's just I can't see the screen, you know.
You got bad thumbs.
When I grew up, Jacob, we had 2 buttons. We had A and B on the Nintendo controller. Now they got L1, L2. You know, depending on what you're playing, I play PlayStation, so it'd be X, 0. I just, you know, I can't keep up.
It's a circle, Jason.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Shapes. Do you get it?
Yeah, I do get it, and I have no comeback.
Okay, carrying on. Go.
So what do you think about, like, hey, say they let him play out this year, and then they did the franchise thing?
I thought about that, too. If you look at the other quarterbacks that are coming up for contracts, the big one that you're looking at is Dak Prescott, and he's been on record saying that he's not necessarily chasing after money. Yeah, of course he's going to say that, but, you know, outside of maybe Trevor Lawrence or Tua, I don't see another quarterback coming up that really is going to surpass how much we just gave him.
When does Jordan Love come up?
They've got talks about that right now, potentially this year, next year. Do you think Jordan Love's done enough to be paid more than Jared Goff?
Well, no, but it's a next man up thing. Personally, I think Jordan Love can be a very good quarterback. And it'd be interesting, you know, you always have the debate, like, let's switch teams and see who does better. Jordan Love does offer the ability to run, which would be nice. That's something that Jared Goff obviously doesn't have. I don't know how Jordan Love would deal with it going on 4th down constantly, where Jared Goff knows right where to go with the ball. He's won many games when Dan Campbell decides to go for it on 4th down late in a game, and he's succeeded. Also, Jared Goff has won the Lions 2 playoff games. It's more than Stafford did, for sure. More than any Lions quarterback has ever done. Maybe for that alone, he deserved to be paid.
Right. Good point.
What? Did you compliment me? Hold on.
I did. I did.
Shoot, I thought
Save
someone
that.
broke into my headphones. I was like, what?
Probably won't happen very often.
I know. It's just made my night. That might be the first time you complimented me. So
usually you have freezing cold takes, but that was okay.
It's all right.
That was on point.
I wear a shawl, so don't worry about it.
What's a shawl?
You don't know what a shawl is?
I'll Google it.
Yeah,
later.
Google it later. That's good. You probably see a grandma, but I can rock one too. Anything else you want to add on Jared Goff?
No. I mean, I'm okay with it right now. Time will tell, but, you know, like I said, not super stoked about seeing the dollar sign, but now that I have time to look everything over, I'm okay with it. I think he's on par for where he's been playing at.
Yeah, he was going to get paid regardless. It's next man up. He's quarterback of a team that went to the NFC Championship game. He had good numbers. I mean, you're not going to get those guys for cheap. And what's the alternative? Do we want to go down that road as a Lions team that just made the playoffs? Are we going to say, let's roll with Hendon Hooker, as some people have suggested, you know, guy that, you know, just drafted last year, was out for an injury. Are you really thinking that's the guy? Jared Goff has proven he can get us there. And was it Jared Goff's fault that we dropped an interception, that Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled the ball, or Josh Reynolds dropped a couple key passes in that game?
Crucial catches.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, none of that you could pin on Jared Goff. So by all accounts, Jared Goff would have taken us to the Super Bowl. And by that way that Super Bowl went, I liked our chances. So,
Yes.
would I rather have Patrick Mahomes on my team? You think about the other top quarterback, Josh Allen. He makes so many mistakes. And I'm not saying Jared Goff's perfect, but, I've seen Jared Goff throw away a lot of passes, not try to push it. He had that little streak in the middle of the season where it just seems like, the fumbles in the Packers game. He had some interceptions on the Bears game. That was just, it was kind of uncharacteristic. So I don't know.
Most of those kind of seemed like the ball was just coming out flat,
Yeah.
too. It wasn't necessarily that he was making the wrong read or the wrong decision. It wasn't great, but most of them just seemed like the throw was kind of off. Just didn't do with it what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on in that particular game, if it was anything you could pinpoint or it's just the game of football just happened when there was a little streak there. There's a reason why there's Jared Goff chants all throughout Michigan. The Jared Goff chant, what do you think that actually means? Do you think that's for Jared Goff? We're hearing it at a lot of different venues other than Ford Field, especially around that playoff time.
All Detroit sports. Even now, you bust out the Jared Goff chant at the Tigers game sometimes.
I'm just curious what you think that chant represents.
I mean, I think it is support for Goff, but I think it's support for the Lions as well. I think it's more of a Lions chant without chanting Lions. You're chanting for Jared Goff. And to be honest with you, it just sounds good.
Yeah.
In a loud stadium, there's nothing like chanting Jared Goff.
Yeah, he's got the one syllable last name. Yeah.
Couple syllables, that's the perfect amount, man.
Matthew Stafford does not,
That's too many syllables.
Yeah, it is.
3's the cutoff, and he's at 4. You can't do that.
Yeah, you got to change your name. Sorry.
There's just something about Jared Goff.
Was at that playoff game when that happened like an hour before kickoff. When he came out of the tunnel, it was coming before he came out of the tunnel. You could see him, and like the crowd just started going, and it was really loud in there. At that point, it was for Jared Goff. It was like Detroit was just like, we were all appreciative that we were at that point. We're at a home playoff game. We've done it. Jared Goff is the quarterback, so he got us there. We did something that Stafford never could get us, a home playoff game. It happened. The fact that Rams discarded him, I think Detroit is like, they're this blue collar town, and they're just like, this guy is one of us. He was discarded. He was counted out, and he had the mental tenacity to do it, and he fought back, and it was just all that coupled. I think you're right. It sounded good, but it also just meant we're chanting for the Lions, but, Jared Goff is the guy that got there, and it's just a matter of appreciation. It's a far cry from when we traded Matthew Stafford. No one thought that Jared Goff would get us there. He was going to be there for 2 years until we used one of those first-round picks to draft a quarterback. I don't think that was ever Brad Holmes' intentions. I think they thought Jared Goff was going to be the guy.
He has been. Now he's the centerpiece. Brand new contract, and without him playing like he has been, then everything else means nothing.
Let's move on to Amon-Ra. You want me to start with Amon-Ra, or do you want to go?
No, I started before.
Okay.
You can start.
I couldn't wait for this extension to happen just because it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is the quintessential Lion right now. Just a hard worker, 4th rounder, counted out by a lot of teams, and he just put in the work, and he's rise to be one of the top wide receivers in the game, and he's getting paid like it right now. I don't know how you don't make a Pro Bowl but make an All-Pro team. That kind of tells me the Pro Bowl is not a
Whack.
reliable indicator of what players think of you necessarily, but I love having him on our team. He is, everything you want in a wide receiver. No diva. He's just hard work, man. I love it. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. 100% on board with that. The right amount. Everything about the contract, he just earned it. It was awesome to see him get paid. Like you said, just very unproblematic, all about the team, all about working as hard as possible, every single snap, just everything you want a Lion to be. That's what Amon-Ra does. I would have been very disappointed if we did not get that deal done.
Brad Holmes deserves some credit about catching him before all the other big receivers get their contract.
Right. Yeah, they're talking about Ayuk right now is demanding, he's not signing unless he gets more than Amon-Ra.
Yep. I'm not saying that Amon-Ra demanded to be number one because I don't think that's him. He deserved to be paid up there, especially if they're going to redo the contract. There are some elite wide receivers, and they're all different styles. He can go over the middle. He's got tons of run after the catch. He started to show a little of the deep game, and I think, he has elite route running skills, which if you're consistently burning people over the middle, he just seems he's right for a double move. I'm going to go over the middle and then just bust it deep. What game? I think it was the Broncos game where he had that really long run, and I know he had or long catch, and he had one in the Vikings too.
When he front flipped into the end zone was the Broncos game.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was like great. I was in that end zone watching the game, in the stadium, and it was unbelievable just seeing.
I'm Jason. I have season tickets. I mention it every episode.
I do. I have not mentioned season tickets, but you just did. So yes, I have season tickets, and it's one of the best investments I've ever made. There's nothing wrong with that Amon-Ra deal. The timing was perfect. He wasn't even number one paid wide receiver for more than a day and a half. And then I'm sure by the season starts, there's going to be, at least two wide receivers going to pass him, probably 3 or 4.
That just seems to be the position, too. The type of guys that are at the position. It's all about, I want to be top paid. I want this. I want that. I mean, that's why they're leapfrogging each other constantly.
Yeah. Amon-Ra knows what he's worth, but also he just doesn't seem like someone that's going to be like, I demand, he's certainly not going to go public with it.
No.
I don't know if you've seen the video after he signed, there was wide receivers and, did a little celebration out at Allen Park after he signed. So that was cool to see.
No, I didn't see it. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It was just them just waiting out there. So it just shows you the team atmosphere. Other players are just happy he got paid. I just think it sets a good example for the team. You work hard, you do what the coaches want, you're going to get paid. And Amon-Ra took about a half a season in his rookie year. Once he got going, it's lights out, man. He's just breaking all sorts of records.
Very deserving.
Yep. Penei Sewell's the next one up. Since I started first with Amon-Ra, I'll let you go on Penei.
Okay, perfect. Top contract for the top lineman in football. You look at the way that he's grading out consistently, always towards the top. Fellow players have constantly rated him towards the top. Everybody's just got positive things to say about him. We knew the big contract was coming, and I'm 100% on board with it. He was ranked number 1 on Pro Football Focus top 25 under 25. He's only 23 years old, and he's just absolutely killing it. Just another player. It's everything that you want a Lion to be, and another one that's just absolutely deserving of every dollar that he got on this contract. He's played up to it, and, I think he's only going to get better. And that's crazy to say for where he's at right now. How did you feel about it?
I mean, it's hard to say that I like this deal better than Amon-Ra's just because I like, we just went and gushed over Amon-Ra. But I got to say there's a reason why I like this contract more than the Amon-Ra. And it has to do with Penei being a first rounder. So they did his 5th-year option and then signed him to that contract. So his cap hit doesn't really go up until 2026 at $28 million. The way the Lions expertly signed that deal, they were able to spread that number out. He's getting paid like a top lineman, but it's not going to be, we're going to be able to keep adding to that offensive line. Just the way the contract's structured.
Right.
I'm really happy that he's going to be on our team. He's an elite athlete. He could have probably played, like I think we had mentioned before in another podcast, he could have probably played tight end if he wanted. So he can do everything on that line. Is he a technician? Yeah, he's got elite technician skills. Is he a mauler? Yeah, he's going to just, did you hear Bosa's name in the NFC Championship game much? I don't think he did because that guy right there that we're talking about, to lock him down for, 5 years and just know that he's going to be on the team. By the time the cap numbers rise, the salary cap itself is going to rise. And I think that's going to look like an even more amazing deal than what it looks right now.
Right. Agree 100%.
And at that point, he's still going to be young. He's going to be probably getting another huge contract. And that's going to just allow them to, again, to sign him early, probably before this contract runs out, spread the cap, hit on the signing bonus. Again, beyond just Penei Sewell being an awesome player, just the contract itself has got me excited because I think that it just allows them to do everything that they need to do. Just keep the offensive line elite, get other players paid, we had these extensions this year. Aiden's is coming next year, and it's going to be a big one. I mean, he's probably going to be one of the higher paid defensive ends, if not the highest after next year. But one thing I do like about...
Hopefully it looks a lot like this one, though.
Yes. And that's a thing that they're going to probably be able to do, right? They're going to use this as the guide. They're going to take Hutch's fifth-year option. They're going to say, they're going to pick that up and then give him the Brinks truck, as we say, and but be able to spread that out so that you could still add to your team and you're not having to cut players that are solid on your team because you're paying just the top-end guys.
For sure.
So, yeah, I was going to talk about big, strong offensive linemen, but I thought I learned my lesson last podcast.
I warned you last time.
Mm-hmm. He didn't talk to me for like 2 straight days. It was awkward when we said, "Are you still there?" on text. That's just the way Jacob is. He's a judger. I think I kind of just gave away my answer on this, but I'm going to ask you, which one of these 3 deals looks the best in 2 years? When you're looking back on it, you're like, all right, I feel the best about this deal.
I really like the Penei Sewell deal. Everything about it, everything about him as a player, just 100% on board with this contract. When we're talking about the Amon-Ra contract, I think that one's going to look better just because there's probably going to be, 6, 7 names that are making more than Amon-Ra that are going to be less deserving. And I think his contract's going to look better just when you see those names that are making more money than him. His production level warrants him to be a top-paid receiver. Some other players, right now the big one is Brandon Ayuk, and I would much rather have Amon-Ra than him. And he's going to be making more money, or he's not signing. So I think when you're looking at that kind of thing, if he's 6th, 7th highest paid receiver and he's playing like a top 2, top 3 receiver, his contract's going to look good.
Yeah, I guess I didn't look at it from that angle because my answer was going to be obviously Penei Sewell. People are going to pass him or whatever, but you're right about the Amon-Ra. You're going to have so many people leapfrog him that, yeah, it's going to look really good in 2 years when he's, 10th or 11th on the list, depending on how many people have signed in 2 years.
Right, he's going to be dropping down, and it's just going to be crazy to see guys in front of him that just don't deserve it. But that's just how that goes. Yeah,
I guess we haven't talked about this ahead of time. Just off the top of your head, right now, who would you pay more than Amon-Ra in the wide receiver? I'm wide receiver only, obviously.
Who would I pay more than Amon-Ra just for wide receivers?
Yeah, just in the wide receiver. Yep.
I'm trying to think of contracts that are coming up.
Now, just anybody. I just want you to say this. Why it doesn't matter if their contract's up now. I'm just saying.
Well, obviously,
yeah.
You've got Tyreek, Justin Jefferson. Those are the 2 names that really jump out at you. Justin Jefferson is going to break the bank. That's going to be huge. I think CD Lamb is probably going to be leapfrogging Amon-Ra also.
Do you think he deserves it?
Outside of that, I think he deserves to be paid pretty close to the same as Amon-Ra. Yeah. What he's been able to do, that's a toss-up. If you say between CD and Amon-Ra, obviously, the Lions thing, I want Amon-Ra, but they're both great receivers. Yeah. Those are the people that I would say would be more deserving. But then you're also going to have people like Brandon Ayuk. You're going to have, I know T. Higgins was trying to get paid, Jamar Chase. There's just so many receivers that are going to be trying to leapfrog and try to get to the top of the list. Yep. And I don't think that I would pay most of them that much. But if you are the Bengals, you've got to give Jamar Chase the money.
Yeah.
They're not wanting to pay T. Higgins, but you can't lose Jamar Chase. So you got to pay him what he's asking. And I think that's the position a lot of these teams find themselves in with their star receivers is they got to pay them.
Yeah, I think
What about you?
I think the lucky thing about having Amon-Ra is you're glad to pay him. You're not like we're stuck. We have to pay him.
Yeah, it's not a chore. It's not a pain to do it.
You're like, okay, can I sign this contract fast enough? Let me ask you: would you rather have Jamar Chase or Amon-Ra?
Amon-Ra. I think Jamar Chase is flashier, but he's not been as consistent.
Yeah.
And especially if you're trying to look at the angle, if Joe Burrow is better than Jared Goff, then Jamar Chase should be, putting up top numbers every single year. I know he's had an injury problem too, but Amon-Ra definitely above Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Well, also I look at it from just a team perspective with Jared Goff. Amon-Ra's can just be in Jared Goff's wheelhouse. Jared Goff excels at, those strong intermediate routes, 10 to 20 yards. 10 to 25 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's where he excel. And, it'd be funny. What if Amon-Ra was with a quarterback that, the deep ball was their game? Would Amon-Ra be able to expertly run his routes, or is he adjusted to what Jared Goff brings to the table? Or is it just a really good match? You don't know because you can't just play that. It's not Madden. You can't play that game.
When you just ask someone to be a deep threat, it's just too inconsistent. And if you were asking Amon-Ra to do that, then you're taking away from his ability as a route runner and what he can do. And he's killing people on the inside as well as over the top. But for Jamar Chase, he's played with Burrow for how long, and they still don't seem to have the same type of connection. And I don't know if that's, it's Ben Johnson and just the scheme and everything that we're doing is just everything's clicking at the right time.
Yeah.
Back to the receiver thing. I want to know your answer because you asked who I thought should be paid as much or more than Amon-Ra. Did I miss anybody, or who are you thinking for that?
Justin Jefferson would be number one. Tyreek is probably number two. I think you're right about CeeDee Lamb. That's a toss-up between me on CeeDee Lamb. There's really not anybody else that I could see that from a wide receiver that, and I think some of this is Lions bias outside of this realm of being a Lions podcast. I think other people could make arguments, and I don't think I'd necessarily argue back with them. But for me, those are probably the only two. But pairing with Jared Goff, Justin Jefferson, I don't know about Tyreek with Jared Goff. So, if you ask me about adding to this team, like if I had to trade Amon-Ra straight up for a player, Justin Jefferson would be the only one that I would say yes, hands down. The other ones I'd really have to think about. Even Tyreek, just for Jared Goff's game, they can scheme Tyreek Hill open in the middle. He could be dangerous too, especially if they get him some open space. But I don't know if Tyreek Hill's game, is necessarily that's his strong suit.
Yeah, Tyreek's all about the deep ball.
They could also throw it real short to Tyreek, and he just makes one guy miss, and he's gone.
For sure.
So Jacob and I are excited to introduce a new segment to our podcast. We're going to try to make this a regular segment at the end of our episodes. We're going to call this the Honolulu Blitz. It's going to be a rapid fire question. Some of it's Lions related, some of it's not Lions related. Way for you to get to know us, and some other topics other than just Lions questions. I'd like to thank a Redditor named Cody. He's the one that gave us the name or the inspiration for this name. So thank you, Cody. We really appreciate it, and we hope you guys enjoy this new segment.
It's time for the Honolulu Blitz.
All right, Jacob, let's get ready. First question I have, sweep the Packers or beat the 49ers this year? What would you rather do?
I guess beat the 49ers. We got to get that one back.
Got to get that one back. All right. Yeah, I didn't say that we would lose the other two Packers games, but yes.
Right. Which one do I want more? I guess I got to beat the 49ers.
Yep. All right. Do you think the Lions fight song, Gridiron Heroes, is good?
Yes.
What about your kids?
They're impartial to it. JJ's a Dolphins fan.
Okay.
Milo's all about it, though.
All right. Your favorite non-Lions player?
Ooh, that's tough. Of all time, or are we just talking right now?
I'd say active. I guess I didn't put that in there, but I'm thinking active.
I'd say CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. Twitter or X? What should it be called?
It's Twitter.
All right. Your favorite Eminem song?
Rap God.
All right. Sounds good. All right, man. That wraps it up on my questions.
That's tough. You had to ask the Eminem question.
Why?
For Detroiters, there's a long list of Eminem songs we like.
I know. That's all right. I wanted to put you on the spot, though.
Right. That was a good one.
All right.
All right. My questions are all trivia kind of based. There's going to be right and wrong answers here. So we're going to see how much Jason really knows. They're quick ones. They're mostly current things. There's a couple of them that are older Lions questions. You should still know. You were watching back then.
I know. You had to get out the history book, right?
Right. I had to look that up. I had to cross-reference. I don't know if that's right.
So you're asking me questions, testing my knowledge, but you don't know the answers to it. Okay.
You should know
okay.
this.
All right. Well, thanks.
Most of them are newer. All right. Are you ready?
Yep. Let's go.
Okay. What 2023 draft pick scored first last year?
Oh, Brian Branch.
Correct. What quarterback started for the Lions the last time they won a playoff game prior to last year?
That was Eric Kramer.
Wow. Nice. Never heard of him.
We talked about him on the first podcast. You have heard of him. See, you're not even listening to me.
I don't listen to you. What college did Jahmyr Gibbs go to before transferring to Alabama?
Georgia Tech.
Who holds the record for most sacks in a single season for the Lions?
Robert Porcher.
How many sacks did he have?
Oh, that I don't know, but
That's a bonus
I'll say
question.
14.
That's close. It was 15. What Lion currently wears number 44?
40. Oh, shoot. Malcolm Rodriguez.
Rodrigo. Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, good job.
5-5. And now I want you to tell everybody that got them right without, putting the answers in, because you're going to claim that I edited the answers in.
You know what? That's a good point, because I did put that in Google Docs, and I know that you're notorious for checking that ahead of time.
Yeah. See, you're right. I broke in. I knew all the answers. And then I like had some acting skills. Like I had to like pause a little bit a couple times while I was thinking about it.
Only the first one, really.
Okay. Yeah, that was some good questions. Now I got to ask you, are you impressed, or did I, just meet your
I
expectations?
am impressed. I mean, I thought they were pretty easy.
Yeah.
No. I would not have known the Robert Porcher or the Lions quarterback that started. I mean, I've seen the name, I've heard him before, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Robert Porcher was really good. So I liked Robert Porcher. He was good. I hope everybody liked the Honolulu Blitz. We're gonna kind of try to continue that, podcast here and there, just a way for you guys to get to know us a little bit better, and a way for me to make Jacob look stupid sometimes. It's a fun game. See that he tried to make me look stupid, but I aced his quiz. So the next time he's gonna be coming up with stuff from the 70s and 60s, like that's even older behind my time. So I'll be looking forward to that. All right.
When Jason played football, he had to wear a leather helmet with no face mask.
Oh, man, we didn't play with helmets back then. We were real mad when they introduced the leather helmet. We're like, we're men. We don't need this. And, now they got to wear face masks, and some people have face shields.
That's why you can't think straight.
Yeah. That's why I struggle.
Repeated blows to the head.
You're giving me PTSD, man. Just, thinking about all those hits. So, all right, man. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I'm good.
All right, man. This has been a blast. I want to thank everybody for listening. The new subscribers we've gained, it's been pretty amazing response. Again, thank you. You can follow us. We have a Facebook page now. Jacob finally got that up. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We have an email if you ever want to contact us, talkinggritpodcast@yahoo.com. So talking with a G, grit obviously with a G. So talking, 2 G's in the middle there, podcast@yahoo.com. I think at some point we're going to do some listener questions. So that'll be a good place to put those in, that and the Facebook page. But again, we appreciate everyone listening. I hope everyone has a great day. For Jacob, I want to say, go Lions.